But yeah, night and day difference. I kind of got to a point last year where maxing out credit cards, locking up bank accounts, it was kind of scary. And I was spending 20, like on average, I think $20,000 in paid ads a month. And the theory was more you spend, the more you'll get, which was completely wrong. So from just deciding to go full on Thrivetime, we've completely turned off paid ads and we're doing the same in revenue, but the profit margin just in that alone has more. It's doubled, tripled. Well, we lost 100 grand last year, and now we're at 55% profit margins. My name is Robert Casillas, and San Diego Soft Wash is our company. SanDiegoSoftwash.com. I think tracking is key. I think knowing your overhead's key. Like, you don't know how much you're making or if you're making money. I think that's where I failed last year, where it's like I'm just trying to scale a limit and I don't even know what I'm doing. I think you gotta learn how to walk before you run.
What do you guys do at SanDiegoSoftwash.com there, sir?
Yeah, we're the safer alternative to pressure washing. Pretty much using a mix of soaps and solutions to clean rather than like high force water. All of San Diego County. So we'll go up all the way up to Oceanside, all the way down to Chula Vista. We go to Fallbrook area. So all of that, pretty much our radius.
Can you describe maybe the ease of the search engine or lack thereof, the system that we're coaching you through on a weekly basis?
Yeah, Vism. So video, images, reviews, and SEO. We're just, well, it's pretty easy on my end. I just post images and then photos to the Google page, and you guys are doing all the SEO. And then I'm just get reviews, ask every customer. But yeah, just that's it. It's pretty straightforward. I think for me, it's just had to believe it was going to work and start pulling back on the ads. So now, yeah, completely turned off ads. So just keep on posting images, videos, and getting reviews. We spent hundreds of thousands of dollars, like $20,000 on average a month, and we've been in business for 5 years. So we've been sending it. We tried everything, from Facebook ads to mailers. I think the big thing is like cost per acquisition. I think with your guys' system, the cost per acquisition, it's hardly anything. I was paying $400 to acquire a customer. Now I'm paying like a few bucks. Like it's 9-day difference. The first thing we did was cut. Like let's cut, and then we started. For me, it's like baby steps. You're taking like a little percent, and then we kept on cutting. I was spending too much in payroll, so cutting employees they're great employees. It just wasn't being efficient. And I think that's the key of like having a business. You got to be efficient, and then obviously like marketing and payroll and marketing expense. So we've cut both, and we're getting out of the hole. So kind of starting fresh and just rebuild from here. But yeah, that's definitely huge. Like cutting, that's the only reason why we have 50% margins right now.
And when you look at this, it can be overwhelming knowing, wow, there's 14 steps. It's not just marketing. It's not just branding. Again, I talked about it. Offense is marketing, branding, sales. Defense is accounting and tracking. And then special teams is actually hiring a special team of great people that you can hire, inspire, train, and retain great employees that actually will execute the systems. How would you describe the impact of having a turnkey solution? And then what would you say to somebody who's thinking about maybe scheduling a free 13-point assessment today?
Yeah, I just told my buddy, he's a mechanic, automotive mobile mechanic. I just told him about it. I think he signed up, Shane. But yeah, I recommend it to anybody that wants. I recommended my sister. She just started a business. Anybody that's starting a business, I wish I would have done this sooner. But we're here, and I'm glad I made it here.
Well, Thrive Nation, on today's show, we're interviewing a real entrepreneur who has a really incredible background. Of all the people I've interviewed, I think my interview with Eric Trump, where he had the ocean behind him, that was probably the most epic. And this is probably the second best backdrop I've seen. Robert Casillas, welcome on to the Thrivetime Show. How are you, sir?
I'm feeling great. Doing great.
Hey, for anybody out there that wants to prove you're not a hologram, could you tell us your first and last name and the name of your company, sir?
My name is Robert Casillas, and San Diego Soft Wash is our company.
Now, for anybody who wants to find your website and navigate there to verify you're real, where can we find your website there, sir?
SanDiegoSoftWash.com.
SanDiegoSoftwash.com. Give me just a second. I'm going to pull it up here. SanDiegoSoftwash.com. That's the pull it up. San Diego Softwash.com. What do you guys do at SanDiegoSoftwash.com there, sir?
Yeah, we're the safer alternative to pressure washing. Pretty much using a mix of soaps and solutions to clean rather than like high force water.
Now, how did you originally come up with the idea to start this company?
Family friend. Yep, up in Sacramento. No Moss up in Sacramento. They got me into it. They kind of scammed me into it. They told me I'd make more money, and it ended up being true.
Now, let me pull it up here again. This is the website, SanDiegoSoftwash.com. Can you tell us about the market area that you service? Obviously, you're in San Diego, but what are all the different areas that you provide services to?
All of San Diego County. So we'll go up all the way up to Oceanside, all the way down to Chula Vista. We go to Fallbrook area. So all of that, pretty much our radius.
Now, I wanted to encourage somebody watching today's show because so many people tune into the Thrivetime show, because they want to learn how to start and grow a successful company. And I think if you're not careful, you read all these academic books, you end up watching TED Talks until 4 a.m. You end up studying these Jordan Peterson videos. Maybe there's some value there to that. But, you start getting theoretically your mindset's all recombobulated, but then we're not selling anything. You watch
Right.
Tony Robbins videos, you're hyped, baby. You're ready to go. You're sipping on Red Bull. Woo! You've read Proverbs front and back 5 or 6 times, but you're not getting any sales. So I want to get into the specific things that are happening in your world, some real wins. First, my understanding, according to Natalie, is you're now ranking higher in the Google search results. Is that true? Is it not true? And how is that impacting you?
Yeah, I think we're ranking number 1 in San Diego and some surrounding cities. I think Carlsbad, now we're like Rancho Bernardo, have different Google locations. But yeah, night and day difference. I kind of got to a point last year where maxing out credit cards, locking up bank accounts, it was kind of scary. And I was spending on average, I think $20,000 in paid ads a month. And the theory was more you spend, the more you'll get, which was completely wrong. So from just deciding to go full on Thrivetime, we've completely turned off paid ads, and we're doing the same in revenue, but the profit margin just in that alone has more. It's doubled, tripled. Well, we lost 100 grand last year, and now we're at 55% profit margins.
Folks, listen to what he said twice. It's so important we get this. They were losing $100,000 a year. Now they have a 50% profit margin. This is powerful stuff. There's somebody out there that goes, man, search engine, it's overwhelming. You got to build a canonically compliant website. You got to know about coding. Then you got to go make sure your title tags are right. Your permalinks are right. You got to know about your keywords. You got to have 1,000 words of content per page with your keyword 6 times per page. Then you got to submit the website to the Google search engine console every couple weeks. And then every month, the Galaxy updates, the Google updates, the iPhone updates. Oh, there's all these updates. We do that for you, or with you is how I would describe it. We do it with you. Can you describe maybe the ease of the search engine, or lack thereof, the system that we're coaching you through on a weekly basis?
Yeah, Vism. So video, images, reviews, and SEO. We're just, it's pretty easy on my end. I just post images and then photos to the Google page, and you guys are doing all the SEO. And then I'm just get reviews, ask every customer. But yeah, just that's it. It's pretty straightforward. I think for me, it's just had to believe it was going to work and start pulling back on the ads. So now, yeah, completely turned off ads. So just keep on posting images, videos, and getting reviews.
Now, I'm taking notes here because this is so powerful for somebody. Again, you used to, I'm not trying to put words in your mouth. I'm just trying to quote and make sure I'm taking notes here. Hope someone gets this. You lost $100,000 last year. Now you've completely turned off your AdWords, and you're operating at a 50% margin. Am I missing something there? Because that's a life-changing thing.
Yeah, it is. It is. I think this is the first year. Well, I've done it all as far as we spent hundreds of thousands of dollars, like $20,000 on average a month, and we've been in business for 5 years. So we've been sending it. We tried everything, from Facebook ads to mailers. I think the big thing is like cost per acquisition. I think with your guys' system, the cost per acquisition, it's hardly anything. I was paying $400 to acquire a customer. Now I'm paying like a few bucks. Like it's 9-day difference.
So the cost to acquire a customer is almost nothing. This is so powerful.
Yeah.
Now let's talk about Vism again for anybody out there. Vism, what is Vism? Years ago, I'll pull it up on the website on the browser here so people can see this. Years ago, I hired a company called BruceClay.com, and Bruce Clay, I would hire them again. By the way, BruceClay.com. He wrote a great book called Search Engine for Dummies, and I hired Bruce, paid him a lot of money. I think it was $8,000 a month for 6 months guaranteed. And then there was also an ongoing retainer and some stuff. And so, you end up spending $10,000 to $12,000 a month. And with Bruce's team, they teach you how to do it, but then you actually have to build the site, code the site, write all your own content. And I thought, wow, and it was very complicated. Then I hired a guy back in the day named Gary Grant called SEOinc.com. And I have no problem with these guys, but these are like $10,000 a month companies. They charge you a lot of money. And then I found myself going, man, I understand how to do this, but not a lot of people can get it. So I figured out if I can break the entire system into just 5 steps, 4 of which my clients can do easily, VISM, my clients can win. You say, what does that mean? Video, we got to get video clips. We got to get images. We got to write search engine content, which my team will do. M, we got to get more Google reviews. And then D, diagnostic. Every month we run the website through a diagnostic test to make sure that your website is complying to all the updates and search engine updates. And just talk about the mind freedom or lack thereof that you have, knowing that all you got to do every week is do video clips, images, and more Google reviews.
Yeah, it's easy. It's I think this, like I said, is the first year I'm not stressing out, worried about, how much we're spending in ads and hoping it would come back. It's I post now. I'm posting like 30 to 40 images and videos a day. It's just take them, post them, and then ask everybody I know, everybody I see, ask them for a review.
How did you hear about the thrivetimeshow.com one-on-one business coaching?
Yeah, my brother-in-law joined Zion Drywall, and he told me he joined. I was like, I need to switch something up. I've been with you guys for about a year. I didn't start listening till this year. So it's like, it works. Now I'm like 100%. It's like, yeah, we're not doing anything else. So,
now your brother-in-law, he's correct me if I'm wrong, he's in the drywall space. And I believe that he had a real turnaround about 90 days ago. He decided to turn on the nitrous oxide. We won't talk too much about him because he's not here to defend himself, but is he getting leaked? Is he staying busy?
Yeah, he's staying busy. He's I talk to him every day. We hype each other up in the morning, brace ourselves for the kick every morning. But
okay. And that's Zion Drywall Services, and he's also out there in California. Is that right?
Yeah, he is. Yep.
Okay,
he's killing it.
Let me pull this up. So we got Zion Drywall right here, folks. That's Zion Drywall Services, yet another wonderful client who's doing a great job. Then over here you have San Diego Softwash.com. Now let's talk about leads real quick. Natalie, who's coaching with you and working with you, she is obsessed about making sure that every client succeeds, which means she's obsessed with leads. Let's try that again.
Yeah.
She is obsessed with making sure that every client succeeds, which is why she's obsessed with making sure her clients generate leads. Could you talk about what it's like having someone that follows up with you every week, make sure that tracking sheet is updated, and someone who's obsessed, who's in your corner, making sure you're actually generating leads?
Yeah, my hat's off to Natalie. She, like I said, I didn't start listening until like this year. I told Natalie, I was like, I'm going to identify as Clay Clark this year. I'm committed. I'm full on board. Let's go. But I'm not a great student. But yeah, it's awesome. She's stuck it out. I'm not easy to work with. Just ask my wife. But it's awesome having someone there committed, and the numbers speak for themselves. So
now I'm not talking about your beautiful wife, but let me just bring it up real quick here. Isn't it great having someone that follows up with you that's not your wife? Because I know so many of my clients, they tell me that the person who's trying to hold them accountable to doing stuff is their husband or their wife or whatever, or their dad or someone they're related to. Can you talk about the difference of having somebody that's coaching you and guiding you down a path that's not related to you, somebody who you could get irritated with, they can get irritated with you, and knowing that they're just trying to help you grow your business? Can you talk about how that maybe has impacted or hasn't impacted your company?
Yeah, I definitely encouraging as far as yeah, I think it's just she's committed. Keep on pushing. I think that's if we're all aligned, same goal. She's motivated. I'm motivated, and yeah, it definitely helps having somebody else other than your wife to keep on pushing you for sure.
How does it feel when you ask somebody, how did you hear about us? And they say Google. Like, how does it feel having this fresh wind of new clients coming in? Because you guys wow your customers, so it ends up turning into word of mouth, and you end up getting referrals from clients.
Right,
I mean,
right.
once you get a new lead, you wow the customer, and it turns into referrals. But how does it feel as a business owner when you know you have this new wave of a new stream of new clients coming into your world every week?
Yeah, it's awesome. It feels great, especially when you know you're not spending a fortune trying to acquire them. It's like, yeah, it's Google. It's either usually map section or they found our website. Uh, the actual quality of leads are actually better than like Facebook or Instagram or even paid ads on Google. Like they're going to the website, they're reading, they're educated on our product is kind of a niche product. So the actual quality of the lead, the conversion rate has gone up. So it's like we went from like a 40%, now we're at like 60%. So the quality of leads are actually better. So it's great. Like I'm sold. I'm a believer.
Now, and there's, we tell me there's 14 steps to growing a company. So if you kind of picture it in your mind, folks, the first part is you got to generate leads. We call that offense. So that's marketing. That's going to be getting your logo, your website, your print piece, anything that's going to help you acquire customers. That's branding, marketing, all that. But the second, and that moves into sales too, by the way. Offense is marketing, branding, sales. The second part is going to be defense. You say, what's defense? That's where you're, trying to cut expenses. You're trying to cut expenses. You're going to track the numbers, making sure you're not wasting money. How much has it impacted you having Natalie look at that tracking sheet every week and point out like, whoa, we're spending a lot of money on AdWords, and
Yeah.
now knowing that, hey, we're not.
Yeah, it's definitely helped. I think she was a driving force in far as the first thing we did was cut. Like let's cut, and then we started. For me, it's like baby steps. You're taking like a little percent, and then we kept on cutting. I was spending too much in payroll, so cutting employees they're great employees. It just wasn't being efficient. And I think that's the key of like having a business. You got to be efficient, and then obviously like marketing and payroll and marketing expense. So we've cut both, and we're getting out of the hole. So kind of starting fresh and just rebuild from here. But yeah, that's definitely huge. Like cutting, that's the only reason why we have 50% margins right now.
What do
There's
you
like
say to somebody that's not tracking, a business owner that maybe, let's say Natalie hypothetically is working with a client that's maybe learning to track and they haven't tracked previously. What do you see as the value of tracking, not quarterly, not monthly, but weekly?
I think it's definitely important. I think it's good to have systems like for us, like we have a CRM that tracks all our leads, all our conversion rates. We have financial tracking like QuickBooks, make sure like we're tracking what we're spending. I think tracking is key. I think knowing your overhead's key. Like you don't know how much you're making or if you're making money. I think that's where I failed last year, where it's like I'm just trying to scale a limit and I don't even know what I'm doing. I think you before you got to learn how to walk before you run.
I'm going to bring in Natalie real quick via the mic here. Natalie, you on the mic there?
Yep.
Okay. Now you work with a lot of great clients, and you've been bragging on Robert saying this guy has really turned it on. He is fired up here. He's doing the work. What makes Robert so good to work with in your mind?
And my mind is the consistency. So I love that. Last year he noticed that there needed to be a change, and we kept talking about it. And so he made that change, and now he's doing a great job, and he'll follow up with me before I get to follow up with him. And so now it's his game. He gets to follow up. And that's what I love about it.
And I'll tell you this, folks, if you feel remotely stuck, let me pull it up real quick here. I'm not kidding. And this is not an exaggeration. This is not some number that I'm making up. We have over 2,000 client success stories of great people. And, our average client is with us for 6 years or longer until they sell the company. And then you say, well, why would somebody work with you guys on a month-to-month basis for 6 years? Well, what happens is when people start to grow, they start to go, wow, I'm paying $1,700 and my business is growing. Could you talk for a second, Robert, about the return on investment? You're spending $1,700 a month for coaching, photography, video, web, search engine. What kind of return on investment are you seeing?
Yeah, I think it's I don't even know the numbers, but it's definitely worth it. As far as like I said, I was spending trying to figure it out $20,000 on average, like going hard on paid ads, trying to get a return. Now I think we just it's $1,700 is nothing, and then we're going hard on SEO. So like that, we're spending a little over like 20, probably not even 20% of what we were spending last year per month now. But like you said, maintaining revenue, 50% profit margins, it's 9-day difference.
Let me pull up one more thing I want to share with the listeners today with the limited time we have. For anybody out there, if you go to thrivetimeshow.com/free resources, thrivetimeshow.com/free resources, you can download every book that I've ever written 100% for free. There's an orange covered book there called America's #1 Business Coaching Provides the Proven Playbook on How to Build a Successful Company. And when you look at this, it can be overwhelming knowing, wow, there's 14 steps. It's not just marketing. It's not just branding. Again, I talked about it. Offense is marketing, branding, sales. Defense is accounting and tracking. And then special teams is actually hiring a special team of great people that you can hire, inspire, train, and retain great employees that actually will execute the systems. Robert, my final question for you is, how would you describe the impact of having all of this in one resource? Like how would you describe the impact of having a turnkey solution? And then what would you say to somebody who's thinking about maybe scheduling a free 13-point assessment today?
Yeah, I just told my buddy, he's a mechanic, automotive mobile mechanic. I just told him about it. I think he signed up, Shane. But yeah, I recommend it to anybody that wants. I recommended my sister. She just started a business. Anybody that's starting a business, I wish I would have done this sooner. But we're here, and I'm glad I made it here. So we're rocking and rolling.
Now, again, folks, that website you can go to if you want to schedule a free 13-point assessment. That is thrivetimeshow.com. Thrivetimeshow.com. Someone says, how much does it cost? It's $1,700 a month. It's month to month. It's less money. It costs you less money than it would cost you to hire a minimum wage employee. And we do photography, video, web, search engine, print media, graphic design, digital marketing, all of the tracking, the bookkeeping, looking at the numbers, helping you cut costs, offense, defense, special teams. We make it happen. And if you could help our incredible guest today, San Diego Soft Wash, if you're watching today's show, folks, and you learned anything at all, if you learned one thing, if you say, Clay, the one thing I learned is I'm never listening to your show again, that's fine. Go to SanDiegoSoftWash.com and share this link. Share a link to his website, SanDiegoSoftWash.com, on your social media, because every time that someone shares a link to SanDiegoSoftWash.com, what that does is it helps our great client raise up higher in the search engine results. It helps them to rank higher in the search engine results if you share a link to SanDiegoSoftWash.com. Robert Cassius, I really do appreciate you, sir, and we'll talk to you soon.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
We would have, on average, 1 to 2 a week. And I mean, we're getting what,
3 to 4 days.
Yeah, I mean, it's just astronomical how many more there are. Now, they are a little bit harder to close in that the people don't know us, but sending them the testimonials and all of those things have really made a difference.
We were doing well by all means, but I'm getting older, and and I hearing all the results that you guys produce, and I'm like, why not me? And it's fantastic is what it is. There's lots and lots of leads. My phone goes nuts. Mark Schmucker with MAS Construction.
My name's April Schmucker, and I work for MAS Construction.
All right, and I'm going to pull up your website so people can follow along at home and check out what we're doing here. That's masconstructionllc.com.
Mostly we're doing garages. I focus on outbuildings more than anything, whether it's detached or attached. We have we've done barns and larger buildings for that matter. And but mostly we just focus on garages. It's just a quick in, out. It's good turnaround.
Like Mark said, mostly we were a referral business before. And so the leads are great. It's a little bit of a different beast in that they're not people that we know. So it's a completely cold market that we're dealing with sales. So that produces its own challenges, but at the same time, it gives us the opportunity to then spread the news about what we do and how well we do it. So it's been really great.
And it definitely helps out a lot to be more systematic. And that's just the start of where I want it to be. I want it to be like you guys have in place. I can give this to someone and here, follow this, and that's the end result. Same as a blueprint. All your answers should be on the blueprint. There shouldn't be having to ask any questions. And that's what I'm striving for, and that's what I want because I can't do everything. Fantastic. Now I just had to find out a way to get more time out of the day because it's a good problem. Carter was telling us that, but I never had a website. I did everything word of mouth. Um why wait? I mean, that was me for the longest time. And finally I'm like, I'm just done with this. I pulled over to the side of the road. I know exactly where I was, and I'm like, it was winter, and I'm like, I want to thrive. I see all these people thrive, and why can't it be me? And I'm like, well, I'm going to call them once. And so I did. And I encourage anyone that's looking like, and not just do I want, financial freedom, which we're doing okay, but I also want time freedom. And if this is ability to produce time and money, then why not? Or at least just call and try it.
Well, folks, on today's show, we have a wonderful opportunity to introduce you to a wonderful couple. What? This is a wonderful couple. They have a wonderful business. I'm using the word wonderful a lot, and they're experiencing wonderful growth as a result of being diligent. And if you're out there today and you're feeling the slight bit discouraged, I want to leave you with encouragement, empowerment, and specifically walk you through steps that you too can implement if you want to achieve the kinds of results that today's guests, Mark and April, are receiving with their business. Mark, welcome on to the Thrivetime Show. How are you, sir?
Good to be here.
Now, Mark, for anybody out there who may wonder if you're a hologram, what's your first and last name, and what's the name of your company, sir?
My name is Mark Schmucker with MAS Construction.
And Mark, who's this wonderful woman next to you here on video?
That is my wife, April, that I have been blessed with, and she's helped me out a lot.
Now, April, for anybody out there that's not familiar with you, just to prove you're not a hologram, could you share with us your first and last name and the name of your company?
My name's April Schmucker, and I work for MAS Construction.
All right. And I'm going to pull up your website so people can follow along at home and check out what we're doing here. That's masconstructionllc.com. Mark, I'll start with you. If you could tell us a little bit here, what services do you guys provide with your company, masconstructionllc.com?
Mostly we're doing garages. I focus on outbuildings more than anything, whether it's detached or attached. We have we've done barns and larger buildings for that matter. And but mostly we just focus on garages. It's just a quick in, out. It's good turnaround.
Now, you guys seem to be very normal people. April, how would you describe yourselves? I mean, you seem very normal. I think a lot of people feel like, man, I can't have success because I'm not like April. I'm not like Mark. I don't have what it takes. How would you describe your role in the business?
So my role is mainly administrative. I do a lot of the office work and the financials. I work in taxes as well as work with MAS. So I'm a homeschooling mom. So we have a lot going on here at the house.
And Mark, how would you describe your role with the business?
At this point here, more than anything, I am just conducting it, like with sales. I'm just doing a lot, meeting the clients and all that stuff, which I really enjoy. I mean, there's a large spectrum of people that you meet, good or bad, but mostly it's dealing with the people.
And if you had to clarify, Mark, what you do or what industry you're in, would you call it home remodeling or home building, or how would you describe what you do?
I don't exactly know because mostly I did a lot of home building, but I just kind of got out of that. It's too many things, and and I just focus on easier, like in, out. So I guess a builder more than anything.
Now, April, how did you first come in contact with our team here? How did you first hear about the Thrivetime Show team?
So that's kind of a funny story. I first heard about you when Mark said, "Oh, by the way, I set us up with an interview with Clay Clark." And I was like, "What? Who is that?" And so I hadn't heard of Thrivetime. Mark, he's on the road a lot with meeting clients, and so he listens to your show. I am not a podcast listener, and so it's like, you've got to hear what this guy has to say. And I was like, oh, okay. And from my background, I did marketing for another business. And so I was like, well, I can do all of that stuff. And it's like, but if you don't have to, when you already have so much on your plate, wouldn't it be awesome to have someone else take that?
Now, I have a homework assignment for you, April, and you can please feel free to rebuke me, but this is a fun family homework project, okay? I
Okay.
just put out a show, and I think you'll like this show. I can't say you'll like other shows, but I think you'll like this show. This
Okay.
is when I just interviewed a guy named Randy, who he and his wife, they bought a former abandoned amusement park so they bought what was once a former amusement park on a lake, and they renovated it into one of the most successful Colorado style mountain wedding venues in America. It's awesome. It's in Oklahoma. And I interview him about it. So if you are going to watch one show, April, that's the one that I would encourage you to watch. Okay, so
Okay.
you can feel free to reject me there. Now, as far as growing your company, I wanted to just unpack the things that we're doing that are it's producing results. First thing, Mark, it appears as though we're now generating some website leads for you, whereas in the past you were not getting internet leads, or maybe that's wrong. Could you maybe describe the impact that having a proven search engine system and team working for you has made on your business?
Fantastic. Now I just have to find out a way to get more time out of the day because it's a good problem. Carter was telling us that, but it's I never had a website. I did everything word of mouth, and we were doing well by all means, but I'm getting older, and and I hearing all the results that you guys produce, and I'm like, why not me? And it's fantastic is what it is. There's lots and lots of leads. My phone goes nuts.
How would you describe, April, your perspective to the leads that you're now receiving?
I would say, like Mark said, mostly we were a referral business before. And so the leads are great. It's a little bit of a different beast in that they're not people that we know. So it's a completely cold market that we're dealing with sales. So that produces its own challenges, but at the same time, it gives us the opportunity to then spread the news about what we do and how well we do it. So it's been really great.
Now, this might just be my perception, but you're so freaking likable, you guys. You're so nice. You're so kind that I feel like the cold leads will turn into word of mouth. Maybe I'm wrong. Mark, have you seen that yet where you've had a cold lead and then it's turned into a referral of a warm lead?
For sure. I do have that. I mean, I don't have nothing where I set it in, but I do get referrals. It just, and I'm thinking of this one client, it was all off of a sign. Then I got this person, then this person. And to this day, I've done a couple 100,000 with them, with this client, all off of referrals and leads. It definitely grows.
Now let's get into how we do that. What I try to do for wonderful clients like you, because I know you're homeschooling. I know you're, by the way, we have 5 kids and my wife homeschooled too. So I get that energy. I understand the urgency of making sure your kids grow up to love the Lord and know how to read and do math. And so I get the urgency of that. So I try to build a system that is turnkey, that's duplicatable, that's repeatable, that requires minimal thought and maximum results. Mark, I want to get your thoughts on this because I see a lot of people that have successful internet marketing programs in place, but it requires them to take a lot of steps and to do a lot of the work. Could you talk about the turnkey nature or the lack thereof of the turnkey nature of the system that we've been teaching you guys?
I definitely like it. And I was even telling April, like a lot of this stuff here, like it's all in my head. I couldn't just have someone just do this here because I have to make it systematic. And already with April's help and yourself, like let's say I go to Cleveland for the day. I try to do it just a day instead of every day one appointment. Book it all in one day, be more time efficient. And it definitely helps out a lot to be more systematic. And that's just the start of where I want it to be. I want it to be like you guys have in place. I can give this to someone and here, follow this, and that's the end result. Same as a blueprint. All your answers should be on the blueprint. There shouldn't be having to ask any questions. And that's what I'm striving for, and that's what I want because I can't do everything.
If you had to describe the amount of leads you're getting now versus the number of leads you used to get off the website there, Mark, how would you describe that?
I don't even know how you put in percentage. April would tell it's
We would have on average 1 to 2 a week. And I mean, we're getting what?
3 to 4 days.
Yeah, I mean, it's just astronomical how many more there are. Now, they are a little bit harder to close in that the people don't know us, but sending them the testimonials and all of those things have really made a difference.
How old's your oldest kid there, April? You'd probably know this more than Mark. I'm just kidding. How old's your oldest kid?
No, you're not.
So my oldest son is 21.
Okay. Well, okay. So I want you to see if you can connect with me on this. We have 5 great kids, and my son is graduating from high school next week,
Yeah.
and so the mom emotion where you're excited, but you're also kind of sad or whatever that is, and so my wife is like just seconds away from crying at all times. Any moment, she's like, oh, it's so good. But, his last band performance, tears. Last
Right.
day of school, normal school, tears. And so we're having his graduation event tomorrow. And my wife doesn't know this, but hopefully she won't hear the show until later. But I called her best friend from college, and she lives in Florida now. I said, Sharita, you got to fly out. You got to be here. You got to be here. You got to assist my wife with this graduation party thing because it's starting to wear me out a little bit. And I knew that my wife doesn't know yet. She doesn't know, but her best friend's flying in here in like an hour. But I know my wife's best friend, and I know the relationship they've had since college, and I already know that those two are going to click. And Sharita's going to help my wife with all of the graduation details. And all of a sudden, it'll be a breath of fresh air. She'll be relieved. And I know that. And people that know Sharita know that. But you guys are hearing this name for the first time. And I think a lot of customers feel the same way. It's like,
Right.
I have massive confidence in a woman named Sharita being my wife's best friend. It's going to be great. But if I were to tell you, Sharita's the best thing ever, you'd be like, who is Sharita? Do we have some
Right.
references? Why are we? And I think people forget we're dealing with other people that
Mhm.
have the same concerns that we have before buying something. Could you talk about the social proof, April, and the impact that you've seen it's made, the impact you've seen it's make in your husband's ability to sell, having testimonials, video reviews, video testimonials, Google reviews? Could you talk about the impact you've seen it make in his sales?
Yeah, so kind of like what Mark was saying with our that particular client, one of the reasons why they want to go with us is they like what they see on the Google reviews. We've got all 5-star reviews. We really strive to do everything possible to get those, when we get a review, to make sure that it is 5-star by showing up on time, making sure that we're communicating with the clients effectively, and doing exactly what we say we're going to do on their invoice. And, that's how you get a good review, by doing what you promise. And so having that as our, a source of integrity for people to look at and say, you know what, these guys seem like they really back up what they're saying. It's not just a pie in the sky promise. And I think that really has led to a lot of our web leads. They look at our Google page and then they find our website from that, and then they contact us to do a job.
Now, Mark, eventually someone has to buy something, so once we generate leads, I always tell people, they say, what do you do as a business coach? Well, step one is we got to do marketing, or you might call that offense. We have to generate leads, and branding, marketing, logos, photography, video, web, all that stuff can be called offense. That's generating leads. However, the second phase of this is you're going to have to eventually sell something. Somebody has to buy something. Could you talk about any of the sales systems? I know we now have reviews we can show people. We have testimonials we can show people. We're gathering more and more examples of our work to show people. Could you talk about any of these sales systems that you're now using that has helped you, Mark, close more deals?
I'm hearing that from a lot of clients because I asked them, like, well, how'd you hear from me or whatever? And they Google search Garage Builder because it's a market out there for it.
So we're coming up now top in the search results. People find you. That's step one. We got to get in front of people. Step two, they got to check you out, research you, ultimately buy something. And I want to talk about this idea here of just consolidating your time or time management. As you know, as your wife knows here, because April, as a mom who homeschools, you're officially the hardest working woman in America. If you want the hardest job ever, do the whole mom thing. Plus homeschool. I'm just telling you. So you understand the importance of time management. Could you talk about some of the time management or calendar consolidation that you've seen Mark implement over these past few months?
Yeah. So when Mark, when we first started this year, pretty much if he got a lead, he's a little bit hyper. And so as soon as he'd get a lead, he would be like, okay, I'm coming to see you. And realizing that when you have so many leads, you really do have to narrow it down if you're going to have any family time. So like he had said, we pick a day, a Cleveland day, and he goes and he meets anywhere from 5 to 10 clients in that one day, and looks at all of their jobs. So that way we're not constantly running up to Cleveland. And then the other thing that we've done is he has to have time in the office, where he used to run the crews and he would be out on the job site. Now he's subcontracting out. And so he has to have office time. So he takes the time in the morning, from 5 to 7 in the morning. So that's really helped with managing all of the permits and everything that has to be done, kind of behind the door, as far as all of the estimates, the drawings, the calculations for materials. Going ahead and having a designated time for that has made a huge difference.
Final two questions I have here for you, Mark. For anybody out there that's on the fence, I mean, the whole joy of what I love doing is I love helping people like April. I love helping people like you because I know you got a great family. So I look at what we do as a real shalom. It's a win-win where the customer, our client, wins. And then theoretically we win, so I don't hide it. We charge people $1,700 a month, which is a little bit less than the typical personal trainer, but a little bit more than it is an investment, and we make a 20% margin. We make $340 a month profit, and we do photography and video and web and search engine and all that. We also do conferences to help really educate and inspire. But how would you describe the impact that one-on-one coaching has made, Mark, in your business and in your family?
Well, for sure, it holds you accountable. I mean, and I think of what's Carter's first words going to be? My coach is like, what are your wins? And I'm like, well, I better get some wins. And it causes me to think and push myself a little bit more. Like, not that I wouldn't before, but I'll get that. But I'd be procrastinating. I'll get to that. No big deal. And it really isn't, but it also is a big deal because it holds me accountable to do what's needed, and I like it. As much as it may be some new stuff that I'm uncomfortable with, it's a good thing for growth.
Now, April, I'm not putting words in your mouth, so feel free to rebuke me again. My only video I recommend you watch is that Five Oaks video. I think you'll. I have one of my clients. His wife does not watch our show. She said that video was so encouraging. So it's hopefully you like it. But I hear a lot from our clients and their spouses. So if I'm working primarily with the female, I'll hear from the husband from time to time. They'll go, man, my wife's schedule is much more productive. Or I'll hear from the wives. They'll say, my husband's schedule is more productive. Have you seen an impact? What kind of impact have you seen the coaching make in your husband's life? It could be bad. It could be good. It could be neutral. I don't know.
I'd say that the biggest thing is that it's caused him to kind of think outside of his normal role, and just, where he's very focused on getting the job started. It's kind of made him have to stop and look at, well, if I hire someone to do this, what do I need to do? They would need to have certain systems set in place. And so it's kind of forced him into more of an administrative mindset of, how do I make this repeatable? How do I make it a program that can be repeatable by someone else, versus him just being a lone ranger and doing it all on his own?
This is powerful. I'm taking notes because the repeatable thing is a big thing. Building your business to be repeatable. Mark, final question for you, and then I'll let you go. I'll stop interrogating you. What do you say to anybody who's kind of on the fence of scheduling a 13-point assessment, or was thinking about taking action?
Why wait? I mean, that was me for the longest time, and finally, I'm like, I'm just done with this. I pulled over to the side of the road. I know exactly where I was, and I'm like, it was winter, and I'm like, I want to thrive. I see all these people thriving. Why can't it be me? And I'm like, well, I'm going to call them once. And so I did. And I encourage anyone that's looking, and not just do I want, financial freedom, which we're doing okay, but I also want time freedom. And if this is ability to produce time and money, then why not? Or at least just call and try it.
Thank you, one, for homeschooling your kids.
Yeah.
I mean it, because when we do job interviews, I don't ask people, hey, were you homeschooled? I don't ask people that, but I'll tell you this, they'll tell me. They'll go, yeah, when they shadow and when they come to work here, they'll eventually tell me. We had an interesting moment. It was about a year ago, and our staff was talking, I was listening, and the vast majority of our employees at that time were homeschooled. And I never had that. I didn't ask that question, but it was that the critical thinking skills were so high, the ability to connect with other adults, the ability to get things done, time management. So again, thank you guys for what you're doing with your kids. Thank you for what you're doing with your business. And thank you for carving out time for us today. I really do appreciate you both.
Thank you.
Thanks for having us.
Some shows don't need a celebrity narrator to introduce the show, but this show does. In a world filled with endless opportunities, why would two men who have built 13 multi-million-dollar businesses altruistically invest 5 hours per day to teach you the best practice business systems and moves that you can use. Because they believe in you, and they have a lot of time on their hands. They started from the bottom, now they're here. It's the Thrivetime show starring the former U.S. Small Business Administration's Entrepreneur of the Year, Clay Clark, and the entrepreneur trapped inside an optometrist's body, Dr. Robert Zillner. 2 men, 8 kids, co-created by 2 different women, 13 multi-million-dollar businesses.
We started from the bottom, now we're here. We started from the bottom, and we'll show you how to get here. Started from the bottom, now we're here. We started from the bottom, now we're here.
Mr. Clark started from the bottom, and now we're at the top, teaching you the systems to get what we got. Colton Dixon's on the hooks. I break down the books. Z's bringing some wisdom and the good looks. As the father of 5, that's why I'm alive. So if you see my wife and kids, please tell them hi. It's the CNC up on your radio, and now 3, 2, 1, here we go.
We started from the bottom, now we're here. We started from the bottom, and we'll show you how to get here. Started from the bottom, now we're here. We started from the bottom, now we're here.
Yes, and yes. Thrive Nation, I got to tell you a story. The other day, my son is headed into graduating from Metro Christian and Metro Christian Academy. He's in the band, and they host their annual event at this beautiful venue, this incredible venue, this Colorado Escape right in the middle of Tulsa, Oklahoma. Picture a log cabin experience meets Tulsa, and it's called Five Oaks. And I talk to my kids all the time about Five Oaks because back when I built DJconnection.com, which I no longer own, I used to DJ often at this venue. And I used to harass this man, the founder of the company, and ask him, how did you build it? When did you start it? What was going through your mind at the time? And seeing him in the flesh, seeing him in person at this high school graduation event for my son, it really just excited me and brought me a renewed enthusiasm for how incredible Five Oaks Lodge is. And so now without any further ado, we have the co-founder of Five Oaks Lodge, Randy. Welcome on to the Thrivetime Show. How are you, sir?
Clay, I am blown away by this. I've got a lot of energy, but I tell you what, I'm nothing compared to you. I tell you, but that's the whole reason that I'm here. I look at all this stuff. You and I are so different in so many ways. But the commonality that we have is this, like, well, you were bringing up the other, it's like this William Wallace Braveheart passion every day to get up, not only get up, have the passion, but then put the effort in to what you want to achieve. And so I normally wouldn't even do anything like this. But when you asked me, I thought, man, I just like being around this guy. I mean, it's so infectious, you know, his enthusiasm, and I don't meet a lot of people like that, and I'm kind of like that, but I'm a junior version of him. But anyway, I'm thrilled to be here. Your place, it's too bad your radio audience can't see this because it'll knock your socks off. But anyway.
Now, I have a stack of 10 questions I'd like to ask you over the span of about 45 minutes to kind of pace ourselves there.
Okay.
And I really want to get out of your way and let you share the story. So first off, I just remember I showed up at this beautiful venue. The year was like 1999-ish. Adam Spuler was hosting his graduation. He was an Oral Roberts University graduate. And he says, I'm having my graduation at Five Oaks Lodge. And I thought I'd been to every venue that Tulsa has, every venue that Oklahoma has, maybe every venue that Texas has. I thought I'd been to these venues as a DJ. And I pulled into this place, which still wasn't done yet. It was like the Death Star from the second Star Wars. It was under construction. And I thought, wow, there's a story behind this. So could you share with us, when did you and your beautiful wife decide to buy the land, and what was that process like?
Well, the purchase of the land, there's major events in our life, and really the first one was the land purchase. And we lived out at Lake Keystone, and when you live on a lake, and we lived right on the water, when you live on a lake, you share it with all humanity. And I'm okay with other people, but you know, I like woods, I like privacy. I wanted my own lake. So after 2 or 3 years of living out there, I got all the, I think they're called geological survey maps or something. I had all of them from like 50-mile radius of Tulsa. And I was like, I'm looking for a lake. I want my own lake. I want it to be big enough to water ski on. And I mean a whopper. And so anyway, they're few and far between. And of all things, it's weird how all these moons have lined up for me. But what happened is one of my wife's sister was dating a guy, and he was over for dinner one night. And I was talking to him about, I want to get a lake. He says, "Oh gosh, my partners and I have a lake. We're going to build the Golf Club of Oklahoma." And I said, "Holy smokes, really? Where is it?" And he said, "Oh, it's on such such." So I said, "Well, I got the maps. Let's look at it." He showed me, and it was like this giant, like 30-acre lake, just close in Tulsa County. I was like, holy smoke, I want to just see that. So he took us over there. They were marketing it because they wanted to build the Golf Club of Oklahoma. Well, that ended up falling through for a number of reasons. But anyway, I just wanted to have 1 acre and get inside the gate, because when I drove into this place, even as I say this to you now, I got goosebumps on my arms. Like, oh, good gosh, there's something like this in this city. I mean, talk about a hidden treasure. That's not even close to describing it. And, we ain't done anything with it yet. It was an old amusement park that its heyday was in the 60s. And this guy built an amusement park, made the dam for the lake. The dam's 80 foot tall. The lake is like 30 acres. And we literally did our kids water skied on when they were growing up. So anyway, here I am, and I saw this property. Okay, so I kind of have to forget about it because it's like, this is out of Randy's league. But anyway, a year or so passed, and I think it was probably around the late 80s when those savings and loans started going under, and there was all this unusual economic stuff.
Yeah.
One thing led to another, and one of the partners of this grand lake and this property was like a big player, and his company ended up going bankrupt because of it. The other guy somehow got out of it. One guy was left. He was paying on the note. Well, when these oil guys back then in the early, they go down to the bank and sign their name and get $2 or $3 million. Well, so he didn't have any equity in it, and he was watching the value of this property go down and down. And he thought, you know what? I'm just going to give this back to the bank. The guy that gave it back to the bank was the guy that was dating my wife's sister. So I knew about the property the moment that happened.
Now,
I dedicated my life to getting it.
Now, what were you doing at this point? Did you own your own business? Were you working for somebody? What were you doing before you purchased this property?
I didn't own my own business, but I managed a business like I owned it. It was a manufacturing company, and we made sofas and chairs, and it was in Tulsa. And I enjoyed the work because it was special stuff. It was high end. It was really interesting to do, but I knew it wasn't going to be my life's work. So I was always looking, where am I going to go? What am I going to do? And I knew that wasn't it, but the idea of getting that property, the potential of that was so overwhelming, I couldn't even figure it out.
Now, where did you, because I remember when I was setting up my DJ gear, I was setting up my equipment for Adam Spuler's graduation, and it was still under construction. I mean, there was aspects of it that were being put together. And I just remember I marveled at the front door. I'm going, this front door is epic. And I'll put footage of this on the screen so our listeners can see it. I could see the pine trees going in. It was epic. The view was epic. I could see it. And I remember asking one of the members of the catering staff, like, who built this thing? And they go, the guy who owns it built it, or something like that. Could you tell us, I mean, where did you get the logs? Where did you get the materials? Because this is an incredible, the way you put it together. I mean, it feels like the kind of cabin you would find tucked away in the mountains in Colorado that's 200 years old, but yet it was brand new. Where did you find the logs? Where did you find the materials? Walk us through how you built the actual cabin.
Okay, because this actually is a really good story. When we were out there where we were living, when we finally got the property, and that, sometime that would be a fun story to tell, but it's about a 2 or 3 cocktail conversation. So, but anyway, when we finally got the property, we lived there for 2 or 3 years, or yes, maybe a little bit more than that. And it was like we lived in because it was an amusement park, we lived in an old arcade. And quite honestly, to this day, live in the old arcade.
The old arcade.
Yeah, the old arcade of Skyline Amusement Park was what it was called. So anyway, we lived in the old arcade and we thought, this property's too neat to not have a really cool log cabin on it. So we built a log cabin at the south end of the lake. And we really built it for our family to just enjoy and come out and for us to enjoy. And so we built it, and while we were enjoying it, people would hear about it, and our friends would tell people about it, and then would get some calls and go, gosh, I would love to come out there and do this or do that. I'd like to bring my wife out to maybe spend the night, or I'd like to have a little dinner. And we didn't want any part of that because it was like we didn't know anything about that world. It was just like, well, no, this is our house. So this, we don't want to share it. But then we thought, what? You get so many requests, so well, let's try it. So one night, this couple came, and I think it was their anniversary. They had 2 or 3 other couples there. So we didn't know anything about that world. And so we thought, well, we probably ought to go down there. We go down there. They're having this really wonderful dinner. They're having drinks. Hey, why don't y'all sit down? We sat down. We had dinner with them. We had drinks with them. And they just raved about how great we were and how great this place was. And at the end of the night, they wrote us a check. And we thought, okay, there's something to this. So we ended up starting renting out that small little cabin. Well, the more we rented out that cabin, more people would find out about it. And there was a guy that was a big HR guy with a major company in Tulsa. I don't know if we can mention the names or not. It doesn't matter. But it was a big company in Tulsa. Man, Randy, I'd love to bring our stuff out. You just don't have a bigger place. Well, we thought, maybe we ought to think about something like that. Because quite honestly, when you run a bed and breakfast, which is what it was, you're just sitting around drinking wine with people and just having a blast and making a bunch of money. You're basically what you are is you're cleaning, you're washing things, you're making sure they get all the stuff. My wife's going down there at 6:30 in the morning. So anyway, you work all week, and back then you didn't make really anything, but it was fun. But my veterinarian, because we had animals, he said, hey, Randy, I've got a group that would like we're going to have a picnic and we want to come out there. Could we have a picnic? And I said, well, I don't know. I guess so. He's nodded the cabin. He said, we just want to have it by the lake. Well, there was an old, where they used to have bathhouses and stuff and some concrete there by the lake. And so we said, yeah, you can have it here. Well, I remember Claudia and I, my wife, were in our car and watch these people. He said, well, what do you want to charge? I said, I don't know. Let's say $4 a person. Well, that was in when was that? In mid 90s. And so we had like about 150 people. Well, there was like $600. And it was like, we watched them in a car and did nothing. And we didn't make that all week at the bed and breakfast. So we thought, okay, we got to build something. Now, the next step was east of Tulsa. There was a big log lodge being built to be a restaurant. And the guy that was building it, I might have had another restaurant or I can't remember maybe it was the second one. That really doesn't matter. But it kind of sat there for a while. And the guy that was building it was the guy that built our cabin. And so I asked him, I said, Ron, what's going on with this? Oh, well, he's kind of having some financial trouble. And I said, well, and the building wasn't even all the way built. It was just built about 6 foot tall all the way around. But they sat there for over a year. And I said, if this guy ever flakes out on you, I'm interested in it. Okay, here's a really cool thing that happened. So anyway, I had a new truck, which was kind of a big deal for me at the time. It was a new Dodge truck. One of my employees wrecked it. And it was like, okay, I get the insurance money, and it was for $10,300. I had the check in my pocket. I'd had it in my pocket for no more than 2 days. I get a phone call. Randy, yeah. I say, hey, this Ron, with the guy with the big building. I said, oh, wow. Hey, how are you? And he said, well, this guy's not going to do it. Are you still interested in the building? I said, you bet. I said, what do you want for it? He said, $10,000. I said, I got that in my hip pocket. And that's how it got started.
So you for $10,000, you bought
the start of a building.
What did you get for the $10,000?
For the $10,000, we got the first 6 feet of the building. And then, because we didn't want to do it like the way they were going to do it. And so the rest of it, we kind of made a deal with him on how we would want to finish it out. And so, and quite honestly, I'm trying to remember, I can't even remember what the total was to finish it all, but it was a whole lot more than $10,000. But that's what got us started.
And the fireplace is gorgeous. The fixtures are gorgeous. Did you build the fireplace, or how did that fireplace and the fixtures?
No, the fireplace. I wanted something, because I'm like a fire guy. I was making fires when I was like 5.
Right.
So I was like, if I'm going to have a fireplace, I'm going to have a whopper. And actually, kind of a fun story. The first event we had. Of course, I want to use this fireplace, and I mean it was a high-end event. I mean, ladies in long gowns and white gloves, and we had all these logs left over from the building. I had 5 and 6 foot logs of these big pine logs that were a foot in diameter. I loaded that thing. I mean, I had a fire in there that like frightened people. I mean, they were like, should we stick around? I mean, it was. I didn't ever do it afterwards. But anyway, the fireplace was a fun thing to build because we wanted it to be substantial. And I'd seen photographs of some of the old stuff that were in the national parks and stuff. And that was kind of part of the inspiration of that.
Now, I'm going to put footage on the screen so our listeners can see drone footage, aerial footage of your venue, because there's not an adjective that I have that quite describes it. Well, I just remember I was at a wedding. This is probably, you've been open for a couple years now. And a little context, our company would often provide entertainment at your venue, 50 events a year, 100 events a year. I was there all the time. I feel like I live there almost. And the couple says, we're going to have a helicopter pick us up after we, say our vows, after we have the reception. A helicopter is going to pick us up and take us off. And I'm going, really? And they were able to land there. Yeah. And so, and I thought, and there's been multiple times when I would get there and the parking lot's full, and I'm thinking there's no way that all these cars are going to fit. And you've enumerated all the parking spots, and there's a circular turnaround, and you've really thought through a lot of nuances that make it possible to, by my estimation, provide accommodations for 250 people inside, outside, no matter what the weather is. Could you talk about just some of the nuances and changes you made over the years? Because a helicopter can land there, and you can be dropped off in a torrential downpour and not get wet. You've really thought about a lot of details here. It's awesome.
Well, it was just based. I mean, really, when I walked around your place, it's the same thing. It was like a work in process. You start out and you want to do this, and then you realize, gosh, we need more parking. Our parking lot was half the size of what it is now. And so, when you realize, what, we really do have a business here. We need to expand. So we expanded the parking lot. And then it was like, well, let's make it a little nicer. So we planted pine trees all along in the parking lot. Then we planted pine trees all along our border. And we did make a way people could drop off and turn around. And talking about, you've thought all this stuff out. That's a wonderful thing to say. But quite honestly, the reality of so much of this is they go, oh man, you've had this vision. Not really. I just want to do something cool. I love the building. I love the idea of logs.
Yeah.
And it was cool. And then just one thing led to another. I don't have the foresight to figure it all out ahead of time, like normal people that would do something like that lays it all out and plots it and all that stuff. We kind of like go by the seat of our pants, and when we see something, we shift gears and make it happen.
Now, it was 2 years ago. I was at a venue. I was at an event at Five Oaks Lodge, your place, for something. I had one of my kids with me, and I said, guys, listen, as much as we had to pay to be at this thing, okay, we got to crush the cappuccino bar. Okay, so we're going to get all hopped up on cappuccinos and espressos. And you were the first venue that I know of that offered complimentary espresso, cappuccino, coffee bar. And you have cups. You didn't go with the styrofoam cups. You have nice coffee cups that have the Five Oaks name on it there. Could you walk us through? Because full context, I was going to every wedding venue. I mean, the Renaissance Hotel, Embassy Suites, Doubletree, Gaylord Texan in Texas, you name the venue, I was there often because we were doing 4,000 events a year. So I was everywhere. But you were the first guy to bring the cappuccino machine.
All right. let me tell you how all that happened. And I'm glad you brought it up because I surely wouldn't want to forget this. When Claudia and I started that business, it was like, gosh, I hope this works. We've got some money on the table here. And so, I mean, we would take anybody. I mean, I like to tell people, we were like hookers. It didn't matter what it was. We'd take it if you had the deal. Well, that was in the early days. I mean, we had parties where guys had just a white table and they'd put one of those orange worker bee water jugs on the table. But when our daughter came to our business, that's what changed everything. She has elevated that business to what it should have been all along from the start. And that, quite honestly, another little aspect of that, when I started that, I was like, okay, with this, I want to do this. I want to hope this was one of the nicest and most wonderful things. I wish she was standing right here beside. So I've told her this. I never really knew my daughter, the one that runs Five Oaks. I never really knew her that well, even though I was her father. But when she started running our business, it has been the most pleasant thing for me to watch her grow and watch her be so much better than what we were. She's the one that did the cups. She's the one that had the nice this. He's the one that Claudia and I, we probably would have made it. We would have never made it. And when she has an event now, it's first class. It's well done. There's orchids. There's, dog and pony shows. So anyway, it was my daughter, Nicole, and she's the one doing it now. And she's the one that's really made it what it is.
Now, again, Nicole, I lived through the Nicole experience because when Nicole showed up, she took it to the next level. I noticed that the bride preparation room went to the next level. The bathrooms went to the next level. The beverages went to the next level. The catering service went to the next level. The whole business went to the next level. But I have kind of a rapid fire questions for you, more just facts and figures real quick so people can kind of get a little context here. I believe that Five Oaks Lodge is approximately 185 acres. Am I wrong? Or how large is the property?
It used to be. It was 185 acres originally. I ended up selling 22 acres of it in the back that we never went on or did anything with. And so now we're like 185 minus 22. So that's the full acreage.
Okay. And then the next question is, people look you up online all the time. We say Randy and Claudia. Is the last name pronounced Emel? Is that how we say it?
It's pronounced Emel. I-M-E-L.
Emel. Okay. And what was Claudia doing before you guys bought Five Oaks Lodge? What was she? Because I guess the furniture in there, the decor in there indicates that both of you were doing something related to decor, furniture, something. What was she doing before you guys opened Five Oaks?
I'm glad you brought her up because I would have not been in trouble, but it would have been so wrong to have this conversation without putting her maybe in the first paragraph because she is so creative. And the two of us together, quite honestly, are dangerous, and actually my daughter too, when I get with her, because we all have ideas. We're not afraid to spout them off. And a lot of times they're dumb, but a lot of times they're home runs. But my wife is the more designer, creative type, that kind of detail where I'm wanting to build a log and make the corner of a building notch work well. She's wanting to make sure the window treatment is really nice and the bar looks cool, when it opens up. So, one thing I do want to also, when you're talking about how it changed in 2008, when all that stuff was going on with Fannie Mae and all that stuff. Yeah. Okay. Well, it was like, boy, a lot of these businesses were like having trouble. And we thought, you know what? Gosh, maybe our business was going to suffer with all this. We were letting caterers cater every event at our place. And that's okay because we really didn't want to do the food. We wanted to make sure the building looked right, get the floor swept, welcome everybody with their hair when they're there, and then tell them how glad we were they came. But what happens in that kind of situation is they would come to the party, and I've overheard at least twice people say, oh, isn't this venue was like so good. It's so wonderful, but boy, the food they do is just really, it's just kind of mediocre. And it was like, you know what? We're not doing the food. But they didn't know that, and we didn't want to have a sign at the front of the door that said, by the way, the food you eat, it's not us. So we thought, we're leaving a lot of money on the table on this food. And in 2008, we thought maybe we better do this just if nothing else to keep us afloat. That was one of the best things, maybe the best decision we ever made in our business, because my wife is so good at that. She is such a great cook. And if you give me a raw piece of meat, a fire, and a metal stick I can poke it with, I can grill it. And so the two of us together can really do nice meals. And the meals that happen at Five Oaks, it's not like catered food. Catered food is you make it on Wednesday and you serve it on Friday. When Claudia and I do it, it's a big puzzle to finish it up right before 7 o'clock. Everything comes together and it's out like a restaurant. And it's fun. And the staff that we work with, that my daughter hires, are like fun people. So all that stuff, we get it ready right on time, and it's so enjoyable doing it.
Now, I have more questions getting into the logistics here. Can people stay there? Like if somebody wants to, say someone's getting married, they have a wedding, can they stay overnight there? Or if somebody's planning an anniversary, or someone just wants a weekend getaway, do you have accommodations for people to stay there?
We do. We have one place that kind of fits that parameter, and it's called Curly's Cabin. It's called Curly's Cabin because I used to run Highland cattle out of there. The first calf that was born at Five Oaks, Scottish Highland calf, was named Curly. Now he's kind of an internet star, and they sell his pictures. We sold him. But anyway, Curly's Cabin is a cabin we built for that very thing, and people can spend the night there. Now, we also have other places on the property, but it's where people live year-round. We like the cabin that's in the back that started us all out. That is rented year-round, and we've got other things on the property, but you can do an overnight stay there, and it's called Curly's Cabin on Airbnb, I'm pretty sure.
So there's a cabin on the property where people live year-round, or who lives there? In generic terms, I mean, is that a house?
Yeah. It's like the cabin that's in the back where we started and did the first little work. There's a person that lives there full time.
Got it. Okay.
We have what we call a carriage house that's built over our garage. Somebody lives there. There was an old ticket booth that was really cool because it had like about 20 windows in it. And we drove into our property. You'd see it. It's the first thing you saw on the left. Well, we ended up kind of fixing the ticket booth up. And so that's a place where people rent year round.
It feels like you're going to a town from the Wild West. And I'll tell you this, I'm
into the Wild West.
I mean, I'm just saying, I was already completely sold on everything about it. But when I sold DJ Connection, there was a window of time, we'll call it 7 years, 6 years, where I was traveling around a lot, speaking in Las Vegas often, San Antonio often. And when I came back, I noticed, wow, they're building a lot of stuff. And then when I came back this year, I noticed what appears to be a place where people can have their horses trained or something, maybe a board and train. Or what are you doing now with this large facility that you've now constructed?
Excuse me. Well, this building was the most fun thing I've done since I've been on that property. We had a place on the property that was a concrete, for lack of a better term, swimming pool that was circular. It wasn't a swimming pool. It was a boat ride for the amusement park. It was 130 feet in diameter and 2 feet deep, concrete. You could fill water in it, and they'd put like bumper boats in it. I looked at that space for 25 years thinking, what are we going to do with that thing? When the coronavirus came, we had all sorts of time to do stuff because the government came in and said, you know what, you can't do any business. You're out of business. And it's fortunate that, we were stable enough because that raked a lot of people. I mean, it put a lot of people under. But I spent the 3 years of the coronavirus building this custom hand-hewn timbered log building. And I thought, if I'm going to build a barn, I'm going to build a cool barn because it's what people are going to see when they first drive in. So I went all over the country, I didn't go. I called people all over the country because I wanted it to be a certain thing. I wanted it to be a hexagon, number one. I wanted it to have logs with live edges on the top and the bottom. I didn't want it to look like Lincoln logs where it had gone through a saw. And to find somebody to do that looked like it was going to be impossible. But I finally found this one guy. It's too bad I don't have a picture of him. This guy's like a modern day Paul Bunyan. He's like about 350. He had worked in a machine shop for 25 years. He had just stopped and was building timber frame homes, but he just got started. And so when I called him, I don't know, I mean, I found him. I was like, I was calling everybody. He kind of sounded interested. I said, look, I'll pay you, I can't, $1,000. I'll send you up some, see if you can figure it out. Because these other people, they don't want to try to figure it out. He ended up getting it, and it was just the right time for him. But he got it, and he kind of figured out how to do it. And so we decided, he agreed, and he built the barn at his place in northern Pennsylvania. He got the logs, had to have the logs custom cut from forest. He built it at his place, and then he sent it down here, and we reconstructed it. And as I'm telling this story, I remember when it was time to come down, and he said, oh, Randy, I can't come down. I said, the heck you can't come down? He said, no, I got hurt. I said, I don't care if you're hurt. I want you down here. I'm not going to try to build this thing. What if we have a problem? He said, you won't have a problem. I said, okay, I can't come up there and get you, but send it down. He sent it down. That thing went together like a glove. It went together so perfect, and we got it built.
Do you have is it a guest house on top of the barn?
Yeah, actually on top of the barn, Clay, I wanted to build like a luxury residence because that's where I wanted to live, but I started it a couple years too late because, well, two things. Because my wife and I are building a house now, and that's where we're going to live. Because we're still in the arcade. Yeah, we're moving out of the arcade. Yeah, but anyway, I wanted to live upstairs in the barn because it looks out over our lake, it looks out over the lodge, it looks all over my horses, all the animals. I can see the cattle from there. But when I decided to build that, my wife and I have a fabulous marriage. We've had 3 major arguments in 40 years. And I mean that. That's it. But I told her, on this, I don't want any strings attached. I don't want you telling me no to anything. I want to do every single bit of this myself, no matter what, even if it's stupid. I want to have free reign over all this. So she said, okay, fine, did it. Well, now, on her home, she is the same thing. And that's fine because she's so much better at it than me. So I got to build the barn and she's building the house.
That's how my wife and I did this office. I did
really?
the office and I got to do the pool.
Yeah.
And then she did the house. That's how we did it. Now, so is it used? Can people stay there on top of the barn?
Actually, what we do now is because my wife decided she didn't want to live in Randy's barn. We rent that out year round. So that's like a residence, but it's super nice. I mean, it's 2,500 feet. It's fabulous.
Is it one person that stays there perpetually, or can someone rent it right now?
Well, actually, right now, the people that were living there moved out, and so we're in between. Well, but we've got somebody living there now. Claudia thought, well, we'll put that on and I'm not involved in all this. She puts it on some website, and it's rented out for the week. So there's actually some people there that are coming to Tulsa to do a building project, and they're going to live there for like a week or two or something. But after that, it'll be available. And I'm telling you, I'm gonna you walk in that thing, you personally, knowing you like I do, you would love it. It's gorgeous.
Now, a couple other questions I have here for you, and I appreciate every second of your time here, is you had a vision? Did you have the every answer? No. Did you have every detail? No. Did you know about the cups? No. But you knew that action was the real measure of intelligence. Napoleon Hill says action is the real measure of intelligence. Whether you knew that quote or not, you talk about Thomas Edison. He said, vision without execution is hallucination. Whether you knew that quote or not, that's just, Thomas Edison said that knowledge without application is meaningless. The point is, you weren't going to just have the vision, doodle on it, put it in a notebook and move on. You weren't just going to go buy a moleskin, write down your goal and move on. You and I, where we connected, our intersection of our two brains is you're going to get it done. And when I wanted to see if you could speak into the life of someone watching this who is going, I've been thinking about getting it done, but they've been on the fence. What do you say to someone about just getting it done, just going forward, making the changes as you learn? You're learning as you go, you're finding the tools, making the changes as you go. But what do you say to someone who's been putting their dreams on hold for a decade or two?
Well, there's a couple things. The first thing I like to say about it, and it's what I told my kids, there's no substitute, period, in America or probably anywhere for effort. And I mean effort. And I learned that just somehow when I was young and I was like in junior high and high school. And I thought, this really isn't that hard. It probably wouldn't be that hard to make all A's, but nobody else that much with you, B's, C's, whatever. I thought, well, I can make all A's. I just got to work harder than the other guy. And I was never really as smart as the other guy as far as like, if you took a standardized test or something, but there was nobody that was going to outwork me, nobody. And the effort, I think that's actually, I don't know if I just told you at the first of this conversation, one of the reasons I wanted to come here is because you and I are so different. You've got this high-tech stuff and modern-day wizard with all this stuff, and I'm just like an old cowboy. But the thing that we both share is we have a passion and then the willing to do it and the effort. And you can't be real successful, and there's no substitute for it. But that's the fun of it. That's the thing. I think a lot of people, well, I got to do that. I got to work hard. No. That's the fun of the deal is putting out the effort. Before I do something like the next day, I go to bed at night and I think exactly what I'm going to do. I'll map it out in my mind. And if it's a building thing, I'll even figure out the tools I'm going to use and what the sequence is going to be. And I go to bed and when I wake up, man, I'm like every morning I wake up, I'm excited to be able to get up and put forth what I've thought about all night. And I'm telling you, people don't, I really don't think there's enough importance put on that when they teach things in schools and stuff, because, the X's and O's are one thing, but you got to get out there and get your hands dirty and get after it.
And I'll tell you, folks, Colossians chapter 3, verse 23 through 24 says, "And whatsoever ye do, do it heartily, as to the Lord and not unto men, knowing that the Lord ye shall receive the reward of the inheritance, for ye serve the Lord Christ. Knowing that of the Lord ye shall receive the reward of the inheritance, for ye serve the Lord Christ." What does that mean? It means work is unto the Lord. It's book of Genesis and Exodus. They talk about working 6 days a week and resting on the seventh. The word work in Hebrew means worship. The actual word work in Hebrew means worship, and the actual word worship means work. So work is not something that we should hide from, something we should escape from. Effort is the fun part. Work is the fun part. I got 2 final questions for you. Five Oaks Lodge. There's a lot of urban legend about the name. Where did the name Five Oaks Lodge come from?
Okay, the movie Gone with the Wind. Okay, so in the movie Gone with the Wind, they would go over to, gosh, I can't think of the name of the guy. It wasn't Clark Gable, but was the other guy that Vivian Lee liked. But anyway, he had a property, and it was Ashley Wilkes. Had a property, it was called 12 Oaks. And even as a young person, when I'd heard that name, I don't know why, but it just resonated almost lyrically with me. It was like 12 Oaks. Gosh, that's so beautiful. And also in that movie, one of the themes of that is those people, they love land. They loved it. It meant everything to them. And when we got that property, I was the same way. I felt so blessed to have it. And I thought, gosh, I'd like to name that something like that. Well, so I thought, there's 5 people in our family. We'll name it Five Oaks because we got a lot of oak trees. Well, so that's how the name got going. But what happened after I decided, okay, we're going to name it Five Oaks. Back then, Clyde and I, we had no money left. We'd bought that property. We were like, we're getting by, but it wasn't anything extra. But because it was Five Oaks, I wanted to buy 5 oak trees, nice ones. I wanted to plant them. All our kids were little bitty. It would have these trees grow up, and it would be kind of our big thing that you'd see when we drove in the property. I bought the 5 oak trees. They were $200 a piece. That was $1,000. That'd be like me spending $100,000 now, believe me. I set them on our lake, right on the edge where they could have water and wouldn't dry out. The next day when I got up, I was walking down to the lake. Beavers came and cut every one of those 5 oaks trees. So I never got to plant the 5 oaks trees, but the name stayed. But I want to say something else because you brought up a biblical thing. We have felt, my wife and I have felt so blessed to have this property, and we honestly do together feel like it was a total godsend because there's too many things that had to happen for us to be able, we were regular people, to have a shot at getting something this grand. And so we look at that land like stewards, and I hope my daughter, I know, will keep it. I'll tell you why she'll keep it. There was somebody that wanted to buy an acre of our property, good friends of ours, border us. I said, hey, Nicole, I'm thinking about selling an acre of our property. We could have made like $150,000. And, you know, and she said, Papa, I would sell my organs before I'd sell 1 acre of this property. And when she said that, I thought, okay, she's the next generation. So I'm hoping after her children or my other children's children will do the same thing and keep it going because it's too special to be cut up.
You know, I want to leave people with a notable quotable that comes to mind when I think about you. Inspiration is the reward. Inspiration is the reward. Action. So think about this, folks. Inspiration is the reward, and inaction is the giant, but action is the sword. What am I saying? Inspiration is the reward you're going to have if you take action. Inspiration is the reward. Inaction, not doing something, that is the real giant facing most people. It's inaction is the giant, and action is your sword to slay that giant. And if you're looking for a place to inspire your family, a place to celebrate a big event, a big upcoming event in your life, maybe a birthday, graduation, something, or you're just looking to go visit something that's inspiring, that'll inspire your senses and cause you to want to do more, to be more, to achieve more, check out fiveoakslodge.com, fiveoakslodge.com. Randy, I'll give you the final word. What do you want to say to our listeners out there that are probably taking notes there, sir?
I just want to thank you for having me on. I, never hardly do anything like this because I'd be busy doing something else. I've got so many projects. And like I said earlier, the only reason I took it is because it's fun being around you. It's fun listening to you talk. It's fun seeing somebody that's more enthusiastic than me. And anyway, it was a real treat to get to come here, see your operation. And I just want to thank you for the time.
Thank you so much, Randy. And again, folks, that website, fiveoakslodge.com, fiveoakslodge.com. Thanks again, sir. And we'll end this thing with a boom. Here we go. 3, 2, 1, boom.
But that Clay Clark, man, he is one character.
It's a good word for him, character. Yeah, that is it.
Good, driven, smart. And I've never met a guy who was so hyper all the time. He's doing so much good. And then I met his mother, and she just says, she just lets him be Clay Clark. I mean, so he's endorsed by his mother, and he's doing magnificent work. So it was great meeting you out there and all the people that he surrounds himself with. Clay Clark starts his days at 5 o'clock in the morning.
Oh, it's incredible. Yeah, he's a machine. He's a machine.
Yeah. But I have problems with my company starting at 9 o'clock. Yes, hundreds of people showing up at 5 a.m. in Tulsa, Oklahoma. Man, he's a leader of a leader. He's a fantastic young man.
No, he is. He is.
Yeah.
And it's for the folks that aren't familiar with you, and probably few and far between, I first came across you, gosh, probably 15 years ago, or maybe even 20.
Clay Clark is here somewhere. Where's my buddy Clay? Clay's the greatest. I met his goats today. I met his dogs. I met his chickens. I saw his compound. He's like the greatest guy.
I ran from his goats, his chickens, his dogs.
So this guy's like the greatest marketer you've ever seen, right? His entire life, Clay Clark, his entire life is marketing.
Clay, my honor to be on your show, and thank you for all you do. I hear the ripple effects from you are good ripple effects. You know what I mean? People rave about what they learned from you. So congratulations.
Sean, guess what's happening June 5th and 6th right here in Tulsa, Jerusalem?
We are probably going to have an amazing business conference here at Tulsa, Jerusalem.
Yes, we're joined by Tim Tebow. Tim Tebow is going to be joining us right here at the Thrivetime Show World Headquarters, June 5th and 6th. He's a very successful football player, obviously a Heisman Award winner, but he's also a very successful entrepreneur. Now, when you work with real clients, Sean, real clients you really work with to help them grow their companies, do you ever hear a business owner tell you that they didn't have time to get something done?
Every day.
How often is not having enough time a problem for business owners?
All the time. It's like maybe 90% of the issues as people are trying to grow their company.
Well, Tim Tebow's going to come join us here at the in-person Thrivetime Show 2-day interactive business workshop, and he's going to teach us time management and his approach to personal self-discipline and getting things done. Also at the workshop, I'll pull it up on the website so people can see it here. Also at the 2-day interactive workshop, Sean, we are going to be, there it is. We're going to be teaching accounting, systems creation, marketing, human resources, how to hire, inspire, train, and retain great people, accounting, social media advertising, search engine optimization. Sean, what's the area where most clients ask you for help the most? Is it generating leads? Is it hiring people? What's the biggest issue that most business owners have by default before they come to one of our workshops?
Well, I think it's management, because time is the most valuable resource for these business owners, and being able to manage their time is the first thing. Once they get that under control, then generally the numbers, being able to track their business and be able to make the best decisions based on numbers rather than emotions is a big area. And we teach all of this stuff at the business conference, particularly you, Clay. You love to hammer on time management. It's my favorite part of the conference.
Now, I'm going to pull this up real quick here because we're going to go through. If you're not excited, I want to get you excited about what we're going to cover at the workshop here. Okay.
All right.
The 2-day interactive workshop. This is my 20th year hosting workshops. So I'm telling you, folks, we're in rare form here. So one is the idea of establishing your revenue goals. I think most entrepreneurs don't know their revenue goals. Would you agree, or am I off my rocker?
No, that's totally a very important point we do with every one of our new clients that come on board, is we have to establish the revenue goals. And generally speaking, we have a vague idea, but not an exact idea that can be engineered down into like the daily goals for sales. And so that's a really big one.
Now, next is the break-even numbers. What kind of sales do you have to do to even break even?
Yeah.
Third is, how many hours per week do you want to work? What is your ideal schedule as an entrepreneur? Box number 4, how do you stand out in the clutter of commerce? What makes your company unique from all the different businesses? In a world of brown cows, herds of brown cows, proverbial brown cows, the analogy of brown cows, how can you be the purple cow that stands out? How can you be the squeaky wheel that gets the oil? Box number 5, branding. How do you improve the perception that people have of you, your business, your brand? Box number 6, marketing, your 3-legged marketing stool. What is a turnkey way for you and your company to generate leads so you can succeed? Because if you don't have any leads, your business will bleed. If you can't sell, your business will go to hell. You've got to generate leads. Sean, how often do business owners by default tell you they have a hard time generating leads?
It's almost all of the time. It's really a huge struggle. And many times they may be creating leads, but just through word of mouth. So they get to a point where we've implemented systems, and then they need to create more leads, but they've never had to do it. So there's a lot of different scenarios where business owners are like, how do you create leads? Something we hammer on at the conference a lot.
Box number 7, create a sales conversion system. Again, box number 7, create a sales conversion system. Sales scripts, recorded calls, one-sheets, pre-written emails, lead trackers, all of the sales tools, the sales print pieces, the one-sheets, the big screens that you see inside the business. Whether you're a doctor, you're a dentist, you're a lawyer, you got to have sales systems in place. We help you with that. Box number 8, what does it cost you to get another customer? Step number 8, what does it cost you to actually acquire a customer? Step number 9, it's hard to build an organization if you're not organized. We're going to teach you how to create repeatable systems, processes, file organization. Box number 10, we're going to teach you how to manage people, real people on the planet Earth. This just in, we're going to teach you how to manage real people on the planet Earth. Box number 11, how to create a sustainable schedule that works for you and your family. Step number 12, how to create human resources systems for recruiting, hiring, training, and retaining great people. Box number 13, accounting. This just in, we have to cover accounting. It's not how much you make, it's how much you keep. We're going to cover all the accounting things you need to know. And step 14, finally, what is the point of even achieving success? We're going to go over what is the point of even achieving success, how to design a life that you're excited about, how to design a life where you carve out enough time for your faith, your family, your finance, your fitness, your friendship, your fun, and where you're going to spend your focused time. We're going to go through that, all this and more. Now, the workshop, Sean, it's June 5th and 6th.
Yep.
It's a 2-day interactive workshop.
Yes.
And tickets, we always do it. It's $250 or whatever price that someone can afford. Sean, why do we let people name their price? Why do we have scholarship tickets available if somebody can't afford the $250 general admission ticket?
Well, we don't want anybody to miss out on it. You know, you could be at a startup phase or you could be, you know, way along in your business, but we want to make it accessible for everybody. I think it actually goes back to a story of your dad, and like it goes all the way back to how you've always done this as a business coach, trying to make sure that, you know, your average people out there have access to the things that work.
Now, 7 a.m. to 5, Sean, why do we go from 7 to 5 both days? I mean, it's 10 hours a day. 20 hours of training over 2 days. Why do we do 10 hours a day, Sean, of back-to-back workshops? We do a 30-minute teaching session. We do a 15-minute question and answer session, and then we take a break. 30 minutes of teaching, 15 minutes of question and answer, then we take a break. Why do we do that format, Sean?
That format is so that we can keep people engaged and not just sitting there listening, but also getting involved. We really encourage people to ask questions, and that's really where the juiciness of the conference comes out, is you can put your personal situation and your questions on the board, and Clay will tee off and give you direct advice. Even without being in our coaching program, you can get direct coaching from Clay. It's really a very engaging format. I enjoy it a lot.
Sean, final 60 seconds, pop quiz here. What date is the conference?
June 5th and 6th, 2025, this year.
Question number 2, who's our keynote speaker coming to the conference there, Sean?
Tim Tebow is our keynote speaker.
Sean, question number 3, how much does it cost to come to our in-person 2-day interactive business workshop right here in Tulsa, Oklahoma?
I think it's, did you say it's $250 or whatever you can afford?
That's right, $250
Yes.
or whatever you can afford. Sean, how do you spell Eric Trump backwards?
P-M-U-R-T-C-I-R-E. Ooh, that took a long time.
I'll have to listen to this. And you did it right. All right, again, that's Sean Lohman. I'm Clay Clark, and inviting you to come join us at the in-person Thrivetime Show 2-day interactive workshop, June 5th and 6th, right here in Tulsa, Oklahoma. Sean, I'm excited to have this event. I'm excited to see you at the event, June 5th and 6th, right here in Tulsa, Oklahoma. Tim Tebow, baby. It's Tebow time in Tulsa, Jerusalem.
You could be anywhere doing a lot of different things, but you chose to be here.
Clay Clark is here somewhere. Where's my buddy Clay? Clay's the greatest. I met his goats today. I met his dogs. I met his chickens. I saw his compound. He's like the greatest guy.
I ran from his goats, his chickens, his dogs.
So this guy's like the greatest marketer you've ever seen, right? His entire life, Clay Clark, his entire life is marketing.
Hey guys, Luke Erickson here with the Thrivetime Show. As you can see behind me, we've got all kinds of energy going on. People are starting to show up for the conference, and it is hot in this place. We got grill guns over here. We've got people playing the drums. We've got a fire breather, and man, people are so excited as they come in. The conference is kicked off. This house is packed. We've got Aaron Hansis with Shaw Holmes up there. We've got Steve Currington with Total Lending Concepts up there talking about what is possible when you just implement, when you do the proven system. It's so exciting. People are going crazy. Guys, Luke Erickson with the Thrivetime Show here with you. It is day 2 and the energy is high. People are so excited to be showing up. The team is ready. Come on, let's see what it's like to go on in for day 2. Follow me. I'll tell you what, people are so excited to be here for day 2. It is going to be incredible. Cannot wait to see what today has in store. Right now, here at the conference, we've broken into groups going over search engine optimization. And I know for most of us, myself included, if you hear that term, you go, what is that? What does that mean? That's too techie for me. Well, our experts are breaking it down for people so that you can clearly understand how to come up top in Google. It's doable. It's possible. Now, we're in the middle of a break, and what we like to do is we like to give you as much tangible and relevant information from about the start of the hour for 45 minutes. Then we take approximately a 15-minute break to allow people to connect with other entrepreneurs around them, bathroom breaks, and also use this time to just really digest all of the good information that you're receiving the whole time. Right behind me, we've got Bob with his grill gun, melting an ice sculpture. It is awesome. The ice sculpture represents our life, right? It's here for a time, but we all need to have the sense of urgency to implement the things that we're learning so that we can make the most of the time that we have.
I heard about it on the podcast. Started listening to the podcast, became a fan, and then figured out about the workshop. I own an insurance and financial services agency, and I was hoping to learn from the workshop systems and processes. I'm big on systems and processes and always learning better ways to run a business more efficiently. The atmosphere's second to none. It's a high energy, really cool atmosphere to be around. Contagious, I would say. Just something every entrepreneur, I think, would appreciate and love. I'd say humorous, high energy, and full of substance, which I think is the key. A lot of business coaches or seminars maybe are high on motivation and making you feel good, but don't have a lot of substance that you can take back and implement, the following Monday, where his does. Man, there's a lot of valuable things. I'm gonna say, this is my second workshop. The first workshop I took back really the importance of a group interview. I used to spend hours and hours interviewing people, screening resumes, and that saving my time on that part is valuable. It was that and then the sales scripting that have been two major things just so far. Man, I think they're missing out on, expert advice from somebody who's been there, done that, built companies, has learned a lot of lessons. That's what I'm always looking for, is somebody that I can learn from that's ahead of where I am. And I think if you choose not to come, you're missing out on a lot of good advice that could help your business.
Hi, I'm Aaron Antis with Shaw Homes. I first heard about Clay through a mortgage lender here in town who had told me what a great job he had been doing for them, and I actually noticed he was driving a Lamborghini all of a sudden, so I was willing to listen. In my career, I've sold a little over $800 million in real estate. So honestly, I thought I kind of knew everything about marketing and homes. And then I met Clay, and my perception of what I knew and what I could do definitely changed. After doing $800 million in sales over a 15-year career, I really thought I knew what I was doing. I've been managing a large team of salespeople for the last 10 years here with Shaw Homes. And we've been a company that's been in business for 35 years. We've become one of the largest builders in the Tulsa area, and that was without Clay. So when I came to know Clay, I really thought, man, there's not much more I need to know, but I'm willing to listen. The interesting thing is our internet leads from our website has actually, in a 4-month period of time, has gone from somewhere around 10 to 15 leads in a month to 180 internet leads in a month. Just from the few things that he's shown us how to implement that I honestly probably never would have come up with on my own. So I got a lot of good things to say about the system that Clay put in place with us, and it's just been an incredible experience. I am very glad that we met and had the opportunity to work with Clay. So the interaction with the team and with Clay on a weekly basis is honestly very enlightening. One of the things that I love about Clay's perspective on things is that he doesn't come from my industry. He's not somebody who's in the home building industry. I've listened to all the experts in my field. Our company has paid for me to go to seminars, international builders shows, all kinds of places where I've had the opportunity to learn from the experts in my industry. But the thing that I found working with Clay is that he comes from such a broad spectrum of working with so many different types of businesses that he has a perspective that's difficult for me to gain because I get so entrenched in what I do, I'm not paying attention to what other leading industry experts are doing, and Clay really brings that perspective for me. It is very valuable time every week when I get that hour with him. From my perspective, the reason that any business owner who's thinking about hooking up with Thrive needs to definitely consider it is because the results that we've gotten in a very short period of time are honestly monumental. It has really exceeded my wildest expectation of what he might be able to do. I came in skeptical because I'm very pragmatic, and as I've gone through the process over just a few months, I've realized it's probably one of the best moves we've ever made. I think a lot of people probably feel like they don't need a business or marketing consultant because they maybe are a little bit prideful and like to think they know everything. I know that's how I felt coming in. I mean, we're a big company that's definitely one of the largest in town. And so we kind of felt like we knew what we were doing. And I think for a lot of people, they let their ego get in the way of listening to somebody that might have a better or different perspective than theirs. I would just really encourage you, if you're thinking about working with Clay, I mean, the thing is, it's month to month. Go give it a try and see what happens. I think in the 35-year history of Shaw Homes, this is probably the best thing that's happened to us. And I know if you give them a shot, I think you'll feel the same way. I know for me, the thing I would have missed out on if I didn't work with Clay is I would have missed out on literally an 1,800% increase in our internet leads. Going from 10 a month to 180 a month, that would have been a huge financial decision to just decide not to give it a shot. I would absolutely recommend Clay Clark to anybody who's thinking about working with somebody in marketing. I would skip over anybody else you were thinking about, and I would go straight to Clay and his team. I guarantee you're not going to regret it because we sure haven't.
My name is Danielle Sprick, and I am the founder of D Sprick Realty Group here in Tulsa, Oklahoma. After being a stay-at-home mom for 12 years and my 3 kids started school and they were in school full-time, I was at a crossroads and trying to decide what do I want to do? My degree and my background is in education, but after being a mom and staying home and all of that, I just didn't have a passion for it like I once did. My husband suggested real estate. He's a home builder, so real estate and home building go hand in hand, and we just rolled with it. I love people, I love working with people, I love building relationships. But one thing that was really difficult for me was the business side of things, the processes and the advertising and marketing. I knew that I did not have what I needed to make that what it should be. So I reached out to Clay at that time, and he and his team have been extremely instrumental in helping us build our brand, help market our business, our agents, the homes that we represent. Everything that we do is a direct line from Clay and his team and all that they've done for us. We launched our brokerage, our real estate brokerage, 8 months ago. And in that time, we've gone from myself and one other agent to just this week, we signed on our 16th agent. We have been blessed with the fact that we right now have just over 10 million in pending transactions. 3 years ago, I never would have even imagined that I would be in this role that I'm in today, building a business, having 16 agents. But I have to give credit where credit's due. And Clay and his team and the business coaching that they've offered us has been huge. It's been instrumental in what we're doing. Don't ever limit your vision. When you dream big, big things happen.
I started a business because I couldn't work for anyone else. I do things my way. I do what I think is in the best interest of the patient. I don't answer to insurance companies. I don't answer to large corporate organizations. I answer to my patient, and that's it. My thought when I opened my clinic was I can do this all myself. I don't need additional outside help in many ways. I went to medical school, I can figure this out. But it was a very, very steep learning curve. Within the first 6 months of opening my clinic, I had a $63,000 embezzlement. I lost multiple employees. Clay helped us weather the storm of some of the things that are just a lot of people experience, especially in the medical world. He was instrumental in helping with the specific written business plan. He's been instrumental in hiring good quality employees, using the processes that he outlines for getting in good talent, which is extremely difficult. He helped me in securing the business loans. He helped me with web development and search engine optimization. We've been able to really keep a steady stream of clients coming in because they found us on the web. With everything that I encountered, everything that I experienced, I quickly learned it is worth every penny to have someone in your team that can walk you through and even avoid some of the pitfalls that are almost invariable in starting your own business. I'm Dr. Chad Edwards, and I own Revolution Health and Wellness Clinic.
Clay, my honor to be on your show, and thank you for all you do. I hear the ripple effects from you are good ripple effects, you know what I mean? People rave about what they learned from you, so congratulations.
And we went from expecting maybe 250,000 this year to we're at 400,000. Hi, I'm Kelsey with K&D's Woodward Finishing. I'm business owner at 23. So I've been working this K&D's company for about 5 years now, and we started working with Thrive not too long ago. And we went from expecting maybe 250,000 this year to we're at 400,000. That's what we're going to hit or exceed. So we're pretty excited about that. It's been pretty much just listening to what they have to say. Their hiring process has just really been incredible as far as finding good quality help, and the just the accountability of meeting up with them weekly, and like such good insight, the resources that they have for specific business questions. It's all been really incredible. It's been a great experience, so I would recommend it to anybody.
What I've seen from Clay and his group at Thrive is they'll give you a simple system, and it's the simple systems are the ones that people can wrap their brain around. They're the ones that people can work with on a day-to-day basis.
Hi there, my name is Stephanie Pipkin. I am 24 years old and I own Black River Falls Cleaning Services. We opened in April of 2019 and it is now mid-June of 2020. So I wanted to talk today about the success and growth I have achieved by implementing the Proven Path with Clay Clark's team and my business coach Luke from Thrivetime. It has been insane to say the least. I started working with them in mid-February of this year, so we're about 4 months in of working together, and it has completely transformed my business in pretty much every facet. So I'm gonna check my notes here. So in 4 months, my leads have tripled. I was getting probably like 2 leads a week. Now I'm getting more in the like 10 to 15 leads a week. I have doubled my number of employees. I'm now hitting the highest revenue weeks in the history of the company, week to week it seems like. We went from about 6 appointments today as our highest in February to now 14 to 15 appointments a day. And hiring quality employees has become much simpler and less stressful by using their systems for hiring. I typically only get maybe 2 complaints a month, if that, and everybody shows up to work. I just have really high quality employees now, especially in something people typically consider a high turnover type of work, you know, cleaning houses, cleaning businesses. I have amazing employees now, and I get rid of the ones who are not so amazing and bring on new ones because of, you know, group interviews and interviewing every single week. It's just been great, and such I don't waste as much time on low quality candidates anymore. And your coach will hold you accountable. I mean, which I love. Again, the tough love is really great. You know, Luke's like a stern father figure, but he's also nice, but also stern when he needs to be when I'm being lazy and not doing the things that I know I need to do because I don't want to do them. So that's just great. Worth every penny. I mean, I'd pay him $1 million a month if I can, and maybe someday I'll be able to, but I would just say go for it. If it seems like a good fit, just go for it. Do what they say, even if you think it's stupid or ridiculous, just do what they say because it'll work. You know, people, when they look at my business, you know, people in my town, they think I'm lucky. They think I'm just, you know, things just happen for me. And, you know, maybe I am lucky, but it has a lot to do with hard work and, you know, perseverance and, you know, working till you cry sometimes. That's just being an entrepreneur, which if you're a business owner, you understand that. But it's having these systems in place of, you know, of course I'm going to be successful. It's an absolute because I have all this stuff in the background happening, and I have Luke and Clay and everybody on their team working really hard to make sure that I'm a success. And I can tell that they are just so excited every single week when I'm having all these wins and things like that. They're so excited for me. So it's the best thing ever, and I would suggest to anybody to work with them. So sorry for the long-winded reply, but I just had so much to say, and I could go on for hours probably about how amazing they are. But thank you to Clay and Luke and the entire team there, everything you guys have done for me, and I am so excited to continue to work with you for years to come. Thanks so much for watching.
My saying is, if it's important to you, hire a coach. And I think that's one of the reasons people are not successful is they eat a cheeseburger instead of hiring a coach, you know what I mean? And so my coach pushes me. They're younger than me. They push harder. They're trained. And as my rich dad always said, you know, amateurs don't have a coach, but professionals always have coaches. So I've always had coaches for whatever is important. And, you know, my rich dad was one of those persons. You're on it, man. You're on it. You're on it. Everybody listen to this guy. He knows what he's talking about. You have the macro picture. Very few people have that point of view. Clay, you're an entrepreneur. I'm an entrepreneur. And as they say in Stoic, the obstacle is the way. And so if you let these pinheads get in your way, you're in trouble.